Back at home, several hours later, around 4 p.m., Lisa stood in the bathroom feeling more discouraged over what she had seen in that x-ray back at the hospital. She made a personal note to herself to not let anyone in the family know what was on that x-ray. At least not yet. Everyone was already under enough stress as it was, and if Lisa revealed the images of what she had seen in Lincoln's recent x-ray, she had no doubt that it would drive the entire family to the very brink of despair. Luckily, Lisa had managed to download the images of the x-ray off of Lori's cell phone onto a laptop in her room near Lily's crib, then deleted the original ones off the phone to ensure Lori wouldn't find out the truth and go revealing it to the whole family. 1 month. That's all the time I've got until Lincoln... Lisa uttered softly, stopping herself mid-sentence. Never before had Lisa felt this frightened in all her life. Sure, there were moments when she got spooked or shocked, usually whenever Lucy showed up and suddenly behind her without making a sound. However, this wasn't anything like before. Lisa felt true, genuine fear running through her entire body, and she was doing all she could to keep herself from having an emotional breakdown. Even though Lisa was the most intelligent sibling in the Loud family, and rarely ever showed such emotions like sadness, fear, and sorrow, finding out the horrible truth of possibly losing her only brother to a growing brain hemorrhage was something that even Lisa had trouble controlling her emotions over. Not only was Lisa scared out of her mind, but also very angry at Dr. Lloyd for keeping something this serious a secret from the entire Loud family. Well, Lisa had a pretty good idea as to why he neglected to tell her family about the brain hemorrhage. She couldn't forgive Dr. Lloyd for keeping silent about it. Why didn't he say anything? Why couldn't he just tell us? Lisa muttered angrily. She knew deep down that she'd have to reveal the horrible truth to her family at some point, but Lisa decided not to do it until her invention was complete. She wanted to ensure that there was still a chance to try and save Lincoln's life by showing her family her new secret invention once it was ready. Otherwise, the whole family would sink further into despair. Lisa had completed the blueprints needed to construct her new invention, which she had named the CNI unit, short for cranial nanite injection unit. This device was designed with a highly advanced nanite injection system that was capable of injecting thousands of cell-sized nanites into a human brain, which were all programmed to surgically regenerate and repair damaged brain tissue and other internal injuries. Lisa had already run several diagnostics on the nanites and found that they all worked perfectly after injecting a few of them into her left hand earlier. Several cuts she had received on her hand from a few failed experiments were fully regenerated and healed in less than 3 minutes after Lisa injected the nanites inside herself. Seeing as how these nanites worked perfectly on their first test run, Lisa planned to use them to try and repair some of the damage done to Lincoln's brain. But doing this would require a much larger quantity of nanites since the damage was very serious. To do this, Lisa would need to build a machine capable of being able to handle extra large doses of nanites, and that's where the CNI unit came in. This machine would synthesize millions of microscopic nanites with a built-in nanite synthesizer, then inject them into a person's brain using a large cranial injection needle attached to a large extendable arm on the front. The nanites would then travel around the brain and regenerate any damaged brain tissue and blood vessels that they came in contact with. These nanites weren't made to last forever, and as they'd eventually degrade and dissolve in the bloodstream after their work was done. If any further treatment was needed, the patient would have to be injected with a new batch of nanites, as they weren't made to last forever. Obtaining the parts for the machine hadn't been too difficult, as Lisa was able to use her connections with the medical university she had gotten her scholarships from to obtain the parts needed to construct the cranial nanite injection unit. The only problem was that constructing the machine would take at least 2 weeks to complete due to how complex and advanced the design was, and this meant that Lisa would most likely have to skip some days of school in order to complete the machine's construction on time. She was pretty sure that her parents wouldn't approve of this, which meant that she'd eventually have to reveal the truth of what was on Lincoln's x-ray sooner than she anticipated. Sighing, Lisa exited the bathroom and made the hardest decision she had ever made thus far. I have to tell Mom and Dad about this. It's the only way that they'll understand what I have to do, Lisa said to herself as she walked slowly down the hall towards her parents' room. She made a personal note to only let her parents know about what she had found out earlier in the hospital. If her sisters were to find out, it would only cause more tension to increase in the household, and Lisa already knew that her parents were undoubtedly going to be devastated once Lisa told them everything. Before Lisa headed for her parents' room, she quickly fetched her laptop from in her room, then rushed back out into the hall and headed for her parents' room. Once Lisa made it up to the door of her parents' room, she slowly pushed it open to see Rita and Lynn Sr. gazing out the window and murmuring to themselves about Lincoln. Then Lisa entered the room and shut the door, which caught her parents' attention. "Oh, Lisa, you surprised us," Lynn Sr. exclaimed. "Is something wrong?" Rita asked. Lisa sighed, then said in a sad yet serious tone, "I'm afraid there is." "What is it?" Lynn Sr. asked worriedly. Lisa hesitated for a few seconds, then said, I found out something at the hospital earlier today that I thought only you should know about for now. It's about Lincoln." Rita and Lynn Sr.'s expressions changed from a look of fear and concern when Lisa said that. "Well, what are you talking about, Lisa? I'm pretty sure we know enough about Lincoln and his condition. Dr. Lloyd mentioned all the details to us," Lynn Sr. questioned. "No," Lisa said, her expression turned to a look of anger. "He may have told you about Lincoln's current condition, but there's something he failed, or rather, refused to mention." "What? What do you mean, Lisa? What's going on?" Rita demanded. Sighing, Lisa said, "When I was, looking for the bathroom in the hospital earlier, I saw Dr. Lloyd in the medical files room, looking at Lincoln's medical file, and I heard him mentioning something very disturbing. Something he didn't want you to find out right away." Rita and Lynn Sr. now looked even more worried and frightened as they listened to Lisa reveal the horrifying news to them. "What do you mention? Tell me!" Rita urged Lisa. Lisa opened her laptop and then said, "I should probably show you the truth while I mention it." She then revealed the brightened image of Lincoln's x-ray to her parents, which got them slightly confused at first. "Lisa, what is this?" Rita asked. "It's an x-ray of Lincoln's brain, and what I found on it is very concerning," Lisa replied, zooming the image in towards the area of the brain where the hemorrhage was located and then pointing at it. "This here is what Dr. Lloyd was keeping from all of us, and given the fact that Mom is a dentist and has knowledge of x-rays, I'm sure you two can guess what this white blotchy area on this x-ray is." Rita and Lynn Sr. looked closer and noticed the white blots, then Rita's expressions turned from fear to full-on terror. What is that?" Lynn Sr. stammered, now scared out of his mind. "Oh, no. No. Oh, God, no." Rita gasped. Is that what I think it is?" Lisa nodded sadly, then said, "Yes, it's a brain hemorrhage. It was almost impossible to see until I did a full zoom-in of the image and got a better look at the area. But there's no mistaking it, and I overheard Dr. Lloyd saying that there's no way of surgically removing it without killing Lincoln, since it's too far down inside the brain to properly remove with conventional means of surgery. Because of this, Lincoln has only 1 month to live until the hemorrhage grows big enough to cause fatal damage to his brain. When that happens, Lincoln's brain will go into shock, and any and all brain activity will cease to exist. To put it simply, Lincoln would die." Words couldn't even describe the horror and shock that now ran through every fiber of Rita and Lynn Sr.'s bodies as they took in everything that their daughter was telling them. They wanted to believe that this was all some horrible joke, but they both knew deep down that Lisa would never joke around about something this deadly serious, and they knew she wasn't known to make mistakes on something like this, given her smart intellect. Rita and Lynn Sr. knew that everything Lisa had just said was true, and there was no denying it, not when they also had the evidence right in front of their very eyes. No! 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 I won't accept this! I won't! Rita suddenly cried out in both sorrow and anger, shaking her head. "Rita, calm down," Lynn Sr. Rita glared at him with anger in her eyes, then said, "I have no intention of calming down, Lynn. How could the doctor keep something like this from us? He should have said something. Darn it! He should have told us the truth." Tears were now visible in Rita's eyes as Lynn Sr. hugged her. Then he glared down at Lisa. "Lisa, why didn't you tell us about this at the hospital earlier? Do you have any idea how serious this is?" Lynn Sr. stopped. "I didn't want my siblings or the Casagrans to know about this, since they were already under a lot of emotional pressure over Lincoln's condition. If I were to break the news to them that Lincoln would die at the end of the month, it would only make the situation worse. And then there's also Luan," Lisa explained. "If Luan were to find out about this, she'd probably end up falling into an even worse depression than she's currently facing now. It's possible, through my calculations of her stress levels, that if Luan were faced with the revelation that she was the cause of soon-to-be death of her brother, she might end up attempting to commit suicide due to the unbearable amount of grief she's been facing from Lincoln's death. While I can't say for certain that this would be a guarantee, it's the most probable scenario that I can foresee happening, given Luan's emotional and mental state at this time. This is why I wanted to inform only you and Mom about this." Lynn Sr. wanted to protest as Rita sobbed softly on his shoulder, but he had to admit that Lisa had a good point. Luan was in a very emotionally unstable state ever since Lincoln's accident at her hands on April Fool's Day, and if she were to suddenly learn that Lincoln would die at the end of a month due to a brain hemorrhage, there was a good chance that it would cause Luan to lose all sense of mentality and rationality. It would possibly even drive her to suicide, like Lisa had speculated. I take it from reading your expression that you understand why I stayed silent until this moment. Am I right? Lisa asked, Lynn Sr., still with a bit of regret in her voice. Yes, after giving it some thought, I can see why you'd do this, Lynn Sr. nodded. Yeah, I don't honestly see the point of keeping it a secret anymore. If Lincoln's going to die, we should at least tell everyone the truth. Lisa shook her head and said, that won't happen. I found a way to save Lincoln, and I think it might just work. Rita looked over at Lisa, wiped tears from her eyes, then asked, what do you mean by that? Lisa tapped away at her laptop, then brought up the blueprints and the 3D image of a cranial nanite injection unit and pointed at them. Lisa, what is that? Lincoln asked in confusion. It's the machine that will save Lincoln's life. I've already completed the blueprints for it, and several of the medical universities I received my scholarships from sent me the parts needed to construct it. The machine is called a cranial nanite injection unit, or CNI unit for short, and it would revolutionize medical technology all over the world, Lisa explained. Lynn Sr. and Rita gazed at the 3D image of the machine, feeling a mix of different emotions upon seeing it. What exactly does this do, Lisa? Rita asked, slightly intrigued, but with a bit of caution in her tone. This machine synthesizes millions of microscopic nanites programmed to remove brain tumors and hemorrhages by using a set of built-in regeneration emitters that rapidly accelerates molecule growth, Lisa explained. They can also use a reverse effect to eliminate brain tumors by breaking them down into millions of particles and then reshaping them into new brain tissue. And the same thing can be done with brain hemorrhages. Once the nanites are fully synthesized, this machine injects them into the brain using a large 25-inch injection needle that can be attached to the front of the long arm as shown on the blueprint. Once inside the brain, the nanites will seek out the damage with advanced sensors and repair it as I mentioned. Lynn Sr. and Rita were very impressed with the design of this machine. It had a dragster-shaped body with 4 wheels on each corner, a set of navigation lights on the front, along with what appeared to be a charging port on the bottom left side, and a warning label next to it, warning the user not to overcharge the unit. The back of the machine had a long cylinder which extended about 2 feet with a control panel on handles were built into the sides of the panel to allow the user to maneuver the machine around. Atop the dragster-shaped body was a large robotic arm with a large oval-shaped apparatus on the end, which had the main nanite synthesizing unit built into the top, which had a small connector with a large hose attached to it that extended a few feet and held halfway above the main unit with a set of cables screwed into the upper arm of the machine, which had the injection needle cylinder attached at the end. On top of the machine was the upper arm, capable of rotating from left to right, and on the very top was a cone-shaped device with what appeared to be a visor built into it. At the end of the long arm was a large cylinder with a long 25-inch injection needle attached to it, which would inject the nanites into the patient's brain. The middle arm of the machine was also designed to allow the whole upper half of the unit to extend outward and inward, making it easier to inject nanites into the brain. Lisa, how long will this thing take to construct? Lisa asked curiously. Due to how advanced and complex the design and engineering are, I'd estimate no less than a full month, Lisa answered. An entire month? Rita explained, both in shock and fear. Yes, unfortunately so, Lisa nodded. That is why I must begin working on building the machine right away, if I'm to complete it on time before the end of the month, or Lincoln may not make it. There's also another issue that I face, and that's time. In order to fully complete construction on this machine, I will require every minute of each day, and that means my school days for this month must be postponed. Wait, you mean that you'll end up having to miss school? Rita asked, not sounding too happy. Yes, it's the only way that I'll be able to fully construct the CNI unit in time before the end of the month, or Lincoln won't live to see another month. I know that the idea of me missing school for a month may concern you both, but if you want Lincoln to survive, it's the only way, Lisa explained. Lynn Sr. and Rita were silent for over a whole minute, pondering everything that Lisa had just explained to them. While they didn't like the idea of Lisa missing school for a whole month, they also didn't like the fact that Lincoln's life was practically on the line due to a growing hemorrhage that Dr. Lloyd refused to mention to them. And this made them really consider their options. Lisa, Lynn Sr. finally said, I don't know if this is a good idea, you missing school for a whole month, that is. Lynn, I think we should give Lisa a chance. We've known her how intelligent she is since she was a toddler, and I trust her, Rita suggested. Rita, I still don't know about this, Lynn Sr. protested. Lisa's performed experiments on many of us in the past, and they didn't usually go at all that well. What if this machine of hers does something to Lincoln? Something horrible. I can assure you that this machine is safe and will cause no harm to its patients, Lisa said. It has a set of built-in safety sensors and it's programmed with emergency protocols in the event that something does go wrong. I've done several virtual test simulations and they've all gone well, so I can promise you two that no harm will come to Lincoln when this machine is complete. Lisa, I don't know if missing school for a month is a good idea. I mean, I know you want to save Lincoln, but Rita paused, not knowing what to say. Mom, if I don't miss school, the machine won't get completed on time. If it isn't fully constructed by the end of the month, the hemorrhage in Lincoln's brain will grow large enough to kill him. Is that really what you want? Lisa protested, sounding a bit more serious. Of course we don't, Lisa, Lincoln replied, but I really don't think that this is a good idea. I'm afraid of what this machine might do to Lincoln. I have to agree with your father, Lisa, Rita said. I really don't know if this machine is safe. Virtual simulation is different from a real thing. That doesn't necessarily mean that success is guaranteed. Huh. So that's how it is, then, Lisa replied, now sounding both upset with a hint of anger in her voice. So you're basically saying that you're not willing to give me the one chance to save Lincoln's life, and that you'd rather let him just die because you don't want me to miss school. That's not what we mean, Lisa, Rita replied. We're just concerned that this machine may not be safe. I've told you that I ran several simulations and that they were all successful, Lisa responded, now sounding both frustrated and angry. Have I ever lied to you about something like this? This isn't like my other past inventions. I've put my very heart and soul into inventing this machine and to making sure it's fully safe and operational. And for a very good reason. My brother's life is on the line and I can't mess this up like the other ones. Not this time. Lisa, Lynn Sr. started, but was kind of, you know what? Let me ask you two this, Lisa said, now visibly angry. Would you rather just let me sit back and do nothing when I have a perfect opportunity to save Lincoln's life? Or at least take the chance with a bit of hope that my invention succeeds? Lincoln is going to die at the end of the month, and I'm the only chance he has of surviving. Even if there's a chance that something does go wrong, which I have faith it won't, would you rather take the risk rather than just let Lincoln die of a brain hemorrhage? If so, then just know that you will be letting not just Lincoln down, but the rest of us down as well. Do you really want to live with that for the rest of your life, knowing you had an opportunity to save someone you loved, but just cast it aside because of your cowardness? Heck, cowardness is the main reason Lincoln ended up in this predicament he's in now. Because of all of our cowardness in not standing up to Luan and putting a stop to her pranks. Well, I can agree that the fault is partially Luan's for not properly checking her prank traps for any flaws. The blame is still partially our fault as well for not putting a stop to Luan's pranks. And don't you think it up to you at least make it all up to Lincoln by giving me this one chance of a lifetime to try and save his life. Have we learned nothing from everything that happened on April Fool's Day? Rita and Lynn Sr. were shocked at how serious Lisa sounded just now. They wanted to protest, but they both knew that everything Lisa had just said was true, and there was no denying it. Cowardice was the main factor in Lincoln's accident, in addition to recklessness on Luan's part, and it had nearly cost Lincoln his life. After considering these facts and giving them some well-deserved thought, Rita and Lynn Sr. decided that it would only be fair if they let Lisa have a shot at saving Lincoln's life, even if this meant risking it as well. Lynn, she's right, Lisa said with guilt in her voice. As much as I want to deny it, I can't. We're all as much to blame for what happened to Lincoln, and I can't ignore the fact that he may die at the end of the month after seeing the evidence of Lincoln's X-ray. And neither should you. I know that. It's just... Lynn Sr. paused for a brief moment. I'm so worried about what might happen if this machine of hers malfunctions. What if Lincoln... Lynn? Rita cut in. I have faith in Lisa that this machine will work. I know that some of her past experiments on us haven't been very successful, but given how serious the situation is, I truly believe that we should give at least Lisa a shot at saving Lincoln's life with this invention of hers. I know she's basically risking Lincoln's life by doing this, but I'd rather take that chance than just throw away any shot we have at saving him Lisa is a very intelligent child, and I believe in her. Lynn Sr. glanced down at the 3D image of CNI unit on Lisa's laptop and made his decision. All right, Lynn Sr. said in defeat. If there's any chance of saving Lincoln, I'll accept it, even if it means risking his life in the process. Lisa smiled and said, I promise you both that I'll do everything in my power to save Lincoln's life. I won't let you down or the rest of my family down. Rena nodded and said, I know you will, honey. I'll be sure to notify your school after spring break that you'll be taking a leave of absence for the rest of the month. Very well, Lisa nodded and said at her laptop. I'll begin constructing the machine right away. Lisa then left her parents' room and headed off downstairs towards the basement to begin work on constructing the CNI unit, leaving Rita and Lynn Sr. feeling more hopeful for the future. However, they had been so preoccupied by Lisa's invention and the images of Lincoln's x-ray that they hadn't noticed a certain someone lurking in the air vents leading into their bedroom. It was Lucy. She had moved into the vents to write more melancholy poems earlier, and she took notice on everything going on in her parents' bedroom. The vent comforter was small, but it had been wide enough for Lucy to see into the room, and she had heard everything that Lisa had revealed to her parents about Lincoln's condition. Lucy had also caught a glimpse of Lincoln's x-ray in the process, and it had filled Lucy with a true feeling of she had never felt before. True terror. Lucy wasn't the type of person to normally show her sorrow and grief, but after hearing and seeing actual evidence that revealed Lincoln had only 1 month to live, terrified Lucy to the very core. Because of this, Lucy had crawled away back towards the vent leading into her and Lynn Jr.'s room before Lisa had mentioned to her about the CNI unit, so she wasn't yet aware of it. Lincoln's going to die in 1 month? This can't be happening. Lucy trembled softly inside the vent, feeling tears brewing in her eyes. How would she tell her other sisters about this? More so, would telling her other sisters be a good idea? Lucy had heard Lisa mention to her parents about letting the rest of her sisters know about the hemorrhoids and Lincoln's was a very bad idea, since they were all on edge about his condition, especially Luan. Unlike Lisa, however, Lucy didn't possess such a wise and intelligent mind like her, and didn't consider the possibilities of how much damage this info would do to Luan, so she made the very foolish choice to tell the rest of her sisters, along with Luan, about what Lisa had just said. I have to tell everyone about this, Lucy said, pushing the vent open and re-entering her room, where Lynn Jr. was sitting on her bed. Oh, Lucy! You startled me for a moment, Lynn exclaimed, then noticed the tear streaks on Lucy's face and knew something wasn't right. Hey, you okay? What's with the tears? Lucy looked up at Lynn and then said, I just overheard Lisa telling Mom and Dad something, and you're not going to like it. Now looking concerned, Lynn asked, What is it? Lucy sniffed and said, It's about Lincoln. Lynn felt her heart skip a beat when Lucy mentioned Lincoln. She had a feeling from seeing Lucy's expression about whatever Lisa had told her parents about Lincoln wasn't good yet. She wasn't prepared for what she was about to hear, and it would soon come to haunt her and the rest of her sisters forever.